up if you can see the screen, please. Yes,
Got
we
it.
can. Terrific. Okay. So today I'm just going to talk about how you can finish this year being 2026 very strong rather than just sort of dwindling down into the end of the year. But before we start, I was talking to a guy last week and he was talking about planning and financial years and all that sort of stuff. And the thing that sort of made me want to do this with you guys this week was it turned out he actually had no plan. He was complaining about his business not going well. He was complaining about mortgage stress. He was complaining about lifestyles going downhill. And when I talked to him a bit further, it turned out he did not have a simple revenue budget, never mind about a complete budget. But he didn't have a plan. He didn't have a goal for this year. He didn't have any of those things. So as we go through this, I'll be talking a bit about the importance of those things. So it really is important that as small business owners, as solopreneurs, or whatever you want to, the hat you want to call yourself and wear, the thing is, it's very, very easy to settle for where we are and what we're doing. And it gets harder and harder for us to change our habits. But the bottom line is there are certain fundamentals in business that we have to do if we want to increase our chances of being successful. And if we don't do them, we're just increasing our chances of staying where we are, or even worse, failing. So there'll be a lot of information as always. The recording will be up and be connected world for you as you want it. No rainbows, no unicorns, just stuff you can take away and use. So I've already talked about that. And please have some questions for me at the end of it. I'll do the usual thing. I'll jump around some of the breakout groups and answer any questions in a smaller setting if you like. But it's nice if you've got questions to ask when everyone's together, so everyone gets the benefit of it. Because often the question you ask is the one someone else is thinking that maybe they haven't. You all know me. I'm not going to go through this. That slide's up there for new guys. But here it is. There is less than 6 months left in 2026. You need to think about it. There's less than 6 months left. And as we all know, pretty much we've got till the middle to late November to make money, because when December happens for most of us, December is the beginning of 2 months of very quiet times. December and January need to be there. So how are you tracking with your plan? Are you on target? Are you a little bit behind? Are you a lot behind? Or maybe you didn't have a target at all. So if you did have a target, what was your revenue goal? You're hoping to do the same as last year? Are you up on inflation? Were you doubling last year? Are you maybe not concerned with income, but more focused on impact in your community? Or are you even ahead of last year? You have to be honest with yourself here. Are you working the way you wanted? Are you working 4 days a week? Or are you working every single day of the week, 7 days a week? Are you in the business hands-on every day? Are you working with your clients directly and in person? Maybe you're just working online, or maybe using a hybrid between the two. But again, for the next 6 months, these things are important. If your money's behind, what are you going to do to fix it? If you're working more days a week than you want to, what can you do to reduce them? If you're working with clients in person, face to face, and you'd rather not do that all the time, how can you alter that? I mean, are you reaching the people you want to reach? Are you reaching a ton of people with a broader message, or are you going deeper with only a select few? Maybe you've been smart and you've reactivated some past clients, or maybe you might have even pivoted to a new group entirely. Again, look at your business, look at the people that are in the business. Where are your clients? Who's your ideal client? Who are your ideal 3 clients? Are you dealing with them or not? And what's your ultimate why? Why are you doing what you do? Is it financial freedom? Is it so you can get to spend more time with your family and give them a better life? Do you want to make a dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs so eloquently put it? Or maybe you feel you've got something to prove. Maybe you've left a corporate job and set out by yourself, and you've decided that you're going to prove all those people in corporate wrong, or your last job wrong. But if you're not achieving what you want, what's holding you back? Is it a lack of knowledge? Maybe you're feeling imposter syndrome, something that I still suffer from. Maybe you're worried about failing. Maybe you're overwhelmed because there's just too many options out there and you don't know which are the right ones to pursue. Maybe, particularly with AI and whatnot, there's just too much change happening too fast and you're feeling like you're being left behind. Don't ignore AI if you're not on board with it. Just keep doing what you're doing, or doing it a bit better. Maybe you've got no clear plan. Maybe you've just become too comfortable with sitting where you are. Maybe you're just trying to survive. Well, worst of all, maybe you've just got the blahs. You're over it. Life, the universe, and everything, you're over it. Mainly what happens with people like us is we wear too many hats. We wear too many hats too long and we do too much work that we shouldn't be doing. Keep in mind, between having a to-do list and being aware of the fact you're going to die, that's the sweet spot. That's what matters most. And how much time are you spending on your to-do list and not enough on what matters most? The good news is you've still got time. Bad news is you got to take action. In fact, you got to take lots of action. So the first thing you should do is review what's happened already in 2026 and then plan the rest of it. Come up with a plan, month by month plan. So for your review, simple form, you can draw this up yourself. One side, what's gone well from January to the end of June this year? What's gone well for you? And then what went not so well, or what things did you try that you want to stop doing? That's an important list because you should identify things that went well and celebrate them, as well as dwell on the things that maybe didn't go so well. Human beings, we tend to focus on the negative far more than the positive, and that's not a healthy thing for us mentally. The other thing you should draw up is a don't want list. What are the things you don't want to see in the next 6 months in your business? It might be a type of client. It might be a certain level of income, which is too low. It might be having to do too much grunt work in your business instead of having it outsourced to a VA, or simply not doing it. What things don't you want to see in your personal life? Maybe there's health issues there. Maybe it's like Jay was talking about, he never wants to see 40 kilos of weight back on him. But what things don't you want to see in your personal life for the rest of the year? Key question is, what will you do different? They say Einstein said it, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I don't know what that is, but once you've reviewed what's happened the first 6 months of this year and you've come up with a list of the things you don't want to see in your business and your personal life, then ask yourself, what am I going to do that's different from what I've done the first 6 months? What am I going to do that's different so I can get rid of the things I don't want to see in my business and my personal life? One of the ways of doing that is to have some very clear outcomes in mind. The first one is, how much is enough? You've all heard me talk about that. Jay's sitting there grimacing because he and I go through it quite often. But how much is enough? How much is enough money in a month or a year? And how much is enough money net or gross to you and your business? How much time is enough? Enough hours working, or days per month, or weeks per year? How much time is it important to have with your loved ones? How much time is it to have to yourself or to go and do your hobby? Impact. How much impact do you want to have on the world? Or do you just want to have impact in your local community? Or maybe the impact you want to have is nothing more than making sure your family is doing really, really well. How much is enough for your personal development? When do you feel you would have learned enough? The short answer there is you should never feel like you've learned enough, because there's always more to learn. But what do you need to do in terms of personal development? Are you doing too many things in personal development? Do you have a hard drive full of courses you never looked at, PDFs you'll never open? Is it time maybe to just shut down the noise and focus on one thing for the next 6 months in terms of your personal development? What else is there? What else do you want more of? Do you want more travel? Do you want to go on a cruise every second year? Do you want to go to Italy? What else do you want ties in under this? How much is enough? How many books do you want to read, or how many good meals do you want to have? And how will you know it's enough? No one can decide that for you. I can't tell you that, but you will know how much money is enough. I have a comfortable life. I'm shooting for this. How much travel is enough? How many days off? How many days of work is enough? Only you can do that. That's a personal thing, but you should think about it. So part of that, this process for making the next 6 months work well for you, is you've got to have a budget. And budgets are not that hard to do. People cringe and they worry about them, but a budget isn't very hard to do at all. A budget really exists around 3 sets of numbers, okay? You need to have like a profit and loss. In other words, you need to know how much money you've brought into your business. You need to know how much money it costs you to run your business and how much money is left over. That's the basic numbers you need to know. You need to know how much value each customer brings to you and what your average transaction value is. So over 100 transactions in your business, what's the average? Is it $2? Is it $222? What's the average transaction value? Because it helps you plan. And then there's the three levers, which you've heard me talk about before. There's the revenue lever, the capacity to deliver lever, and there's the cost control lever. If you understand those three levers and you use them to achieve your budget, you're well on the way to doing things. So one way to plan your budget is to use the inflation method. It's the easiest one of all. What you do is you find out what current inflation rate is. You add a couple of percentage points on top of that. Then you multiply last year's results or last year's budget by that same rate. So if last year you did 100,000 and say inflation's running at 2%, so you decide you're going to aim for 5% bigger, then it's 100,000 times 5%. So this year's revenue budget, 105 grand. Really easy. You can decide to hold on costs and raise your sales numbers. You might decide that, unusual as it sounds, not all of your costs are going to go up in the next 6 months or so. Some of them will stay the same. Some of them you've already paid, so there are sunk costs and you won't have to worry about them again. If you just paid 12 months car insurance in June, you're not going to have to worry about it again until next June, for instance. All right. You can use the 10 for 12 method, which is my favorite. Basically, understand when your two quieter months are. They tend to be middle of December to the middle of February for most Aussie businesses. Choose your revenue target, say it's 120 grand a year. Divide that by 10, not by 12. Most people go 120 grand, 12 months, 10 grand a month. That's wrong thinking. What you should do is divide it by 10 because there are 10 months that are busy and 2 months that aren't. So it's 12K a month for 10 months. And what that means is the other 2 months, the quiet months, whatever you earn there, you should treat as your holiday fund or your home renovation fund or the get my car done up fund, whatever it happens to be. But essentially decide how much revenue you want to bring in for 12 months, divide it by 10, which pretty much means selling between February and the end of November. And then the other 2 months, December, January, whatever money you make, then sling to one side in a holiday fund or something that rewards you. You can do the average transaction value method, which is basically you choose your revenue target, say it's 120 grand. You divide that by your average transaction value. That tells you how many transactions you have to make, which is, in other words, how many sales you have to make. It tells you how many products or items you have to sell. You check your history for high and low months. Are you in real estate where at the moment we're in winter, so it's quiet or quieter than it would be when it's into summer or spring? Check those out, plug in your numbers appropriately, and that's going to help you do a sales budget, nice and simple. You can use a thing called the product mix method, where you know what percentage of sales each of your product contributes. So whether you've got one product or 33 products, you should know how much each product has generated as a percentage of your sales. Keep it simple. Apply these percentages to your planned sales. So if you know product one does 40% of your sales and product two does 20% of your sales, then your sales target's 100K. You would expect and you would budget to sell $40,000 worth of product one, $20,000 worth of product two, because they're your big two products, and the rest of your product portfolio should bring in the other 40 grand. That's the way you look at it. Now, if you're just applying that 40% percentages, it makes it easy. A word on accountants. The best ones are proactive and not historians. Most accountants tell you what happened. They don't tell you what is happening and what is going to happen or what is likely to happen. And that's no good when you're running a business, because in the business, we need to understand the past, we need to live in the present, but we've got to be planning for the future. And most accountants only tell us about the past. So these are the things that your accountant should provide you with. And if he's not, you either talk to him or you find yourself a new accountant. He should help you set up a budget. He should give you a timely P&L. You should get a profit and loss every month from your accountant. And you should get it no later than a week, maximum 2 weeks after the month just preceded. So your profit and loss for June should be hitting you about now. You should have a monthly cash flow forecast. They should know your business well enough to be able to tell you roughly how much cash is going to come in, how much profit you're going to make for the month, and a variance report. A variance report is where you have a budget and it will tell you what areas are above or below the budget by a set percentage. This enables you to identify any profit or revenue leaks in your business and get on top of them quickly. If you're just meeting your accountant every quarter, every 6 months, he'll give you a nice report that shows you that you're bleeding profit back in March, but now it's July, and you've had 12 weeks or 14 weeks where you haven't done anything about it because you didn't know about it. Again, This is why you want your monthly variance report given to you. Monthly variance report too, if you're under the hammer, can save you doing a line-by-line check of your profit and loss, but you should do it. Now, if you don't have an accountant, Xero and all those other softwares will provide you with a P&L, and you should go through it and have a look and see what the variance is to your budget. But you should also have a look and check to see, are there any things there that I don't need anymore? Do you have subscriptions to books? Do you have subscriptions to movie clubs? You've got a gym membership sitting there and you haven't been to the gym for 6 months. Identify these costs and get rid of them, because every cost you take out, the value of that drops directly to your bottom line, to your profit. So you need to go over it. And for heaven's sake, when it's time to renew your car insurance, your house insurance and whatnot, don't just accept the quote from the people you've been with for 12 months. Go out and get 3 more quotes. You'll be amazed how much money you can save purely and simply by changing your insurance company for things like cars and houses and contents every 12 months. And what I do is I go back to my insurer and I go, well, I've just got a quote from Amy, which is $400 a year cheaper. What are you going to do about it? And most of them will match it. So you've just saved yourself $400 by spending a little bit of time online. You really have to figure out where your balance is. Now, life-work balance is bullshit, right? There's only life and where we choose to put our energies. And sometimes we're putting a lot of it into our career and our work and our business. Other times we're putting it into our family or social things. It's entirely up to us, but just be aware of trying to spend it where it needs to. Right, so 7 steps that you can take. First one is write out your dream finish to the year. How do you want to be on New Year's Eve 2026, looking back on the entire year? What would make it a great year for you? Is it number of clients? Is it money in the bank? Is it a child getting married? Hey, it might be you getting married, or whatever it is. What would make a dream finish for you for the end of the year? And underneath that, you should probably figure out, well, how the heck can I get there? So break it down into monthly or weekly steps to try and get there. Put them in sequence, of course. You know, you can use the 5x5 thing to maintain momentum. 5 things you'll have done by 5 o'clock tomorrow night. Then you do a brain dump, pick 5 things and do it and repeat. Keeps you going. The key thing is it's easier to push hard when you need to, when you know where you're aiming to get. Step 2 is review what your subject, service, or product offering is. Make sure it rings true, not like the one in the picture, and make sure it's accurate and it's relevant to your marketplace. If you're trying to sell things the same way you've always sold them, the chances are it no longer works, or it's working less effectively because marketing has changed. People have changed. People have gotten older. There's different people coming through with different imperatives, and everyone's running around about AI. Bottom line is, if you feel your product or service is no longer as relevant as it once was, figure out how to make it work. Or if it is working still, that's fantastic. Step 3, look at yourself, look at your business. Are you visible in your marketplace? It's a million channel world out there. And if you're not speaking to the people that are your 1, 2, or 3 ideal customers, you're invisible. And if you're invisible, you're going to die. It's simple as that. So are you visible in your marketplace? If you're not, think about what you can do to make yourself visible. Do you need to use AI to help you write a book and get a book out there, which after all gives you credibility, because not many people write a book, even in these days of AI. Do you need to go on a speaking tour? Do you need to just get active on Instagram or LinkedIn? I don't know what the answer is for you individually. Yes, there's Jay holding up his book. But how can you increase your visibility? How can you improve your social media presence? Are you using the right social media? Are your clients on LinkedIn, or maybe they all live on Instagram? Yeah, are they on Facebook in the family section? I don't know. All right. Maybe you should decide on having a promotion a month all the way through to the end of the year, starting in August. What can you promote in your business in August, then September, then October, then November? And maybe you can do one in Christmas, although Christmas tends to be overwhelmed with people doing Christmas offers. But you can look at them. But create a plan to do one or the above. Fix your social media, increase your visibility. Step 4, identify the sources of friction that are holding you back or are getting in the way. Once you identify them, try and reduce them, or decide you're just going to have to endure them. You can use a thing called the Cato process, which means when you identify something that is frictive in your business, you can either cut it out if it no longer needs to be done And you'd be surprised how many processes and things you're doing in your business that made sense 3 years ago and don't make sense anymore today. You can automate it. Again, Jay's probably the best person I've ever met in terms of automating business processes, but it's out there. You can use Gemini, you can use all sorts of things and read his book. But you do that. You can delegate it. If you've got a VA, or maybe you've got to have staff, delegate stuff that you don't want to do. Get the grunt work off your plate. If you're a business owner, your role primarily should be to identify the vision and to create that vision, and then use other people to help you implement what's needed to get there. Problem is, if you're a solopreneur, you're wearing the creator's hat and the implementer's hat, and sometimes they don't always fit. But if you're having to wear that, then you have to look at where you're spending your time and implementation and decide which things you don't need to be doing, which things you can delegate to a VA or to a contractor, or maybe just outsource stuff. Or the fifth one, which isn't there, is, or maybe just suck it up and get more productive in terms of being more organized in doing what you need to do. We talked about how much is enough. You need to be very clear on it. And here is what they call a life wheel in life coaching circles. It's got everything from love to spirituality to environment to friends to health to money. It's just an example. The bottom line is we are all multifaceted people, and how much is enough should be about more than money. Although, of course, money is the thing that enables us to live better in the other aspects of our life. So we really should give that more focus, because the quicker we fix money, the quicker we've got more choices, the quicker we can live a better life. But think about how much is enough and what areas that is and what that looks like and how you would judge it. Step 6, start working with your sphere of influence and your network. I mean, Alan said at the start of this, we should be promoting one another. We should be reaching out for one another. You've heard me speaking for a couple of months now about, it's great seeing all your faces. It's wonderful seeing you here, but why aren't you inviting other people? Why aren't every one of you inviting at least one person every single month to get here? Because if they come here and they get good value from it, they'll invite others. And the thing is, if Robin invites someone, she may not get any business from that person, but the person that Dr. Chris invites might be someone who actually is looking for a property on the Gold Coast. It's fine threads, folks. But if we just stay a little closed community, if you just stay within your very tight community, you are reducing your chances for meeting other people and developing your business. So start with your sphere of influence. Who do you know? Right? Which are the people you interact with? Who can you bring into the place? And yes, Jay's got a book on networking and he can tell you how to do that as well. But the bottom line is we all have a sphere of influence around us. Very few of us use it. And the first and easiest way to do is start inviting people to things like this. The other thing with your sphere of influence, though, is a sphere of influence enables you to do joint ventures. So if you've got to generate revenue, decide how much you need to generate, how often you need to generate it, who's going to do it, and where are they going to do it? Is it online, is it face-to-face, or is it a hybrid? So you might have a product that you're promoting with someone else. I might promote, I don't know, North of 40 community with Dr. Chris, all right? And I might say to him, people join that community, it's $1,000 a month, and for everyone who signs up through him promoting me, he's going to get $200 or whatever it happens to be. So there's something there. I want to get 30 members within 6 months, so that means I want to get 5 members a month, so I need to be doing some stuff. Work it out. How much revenue do you need to generate? How often do you want to generate that revenue? Who's going to help you, and where are they going to do it? Step number 7 is quite simple. Give up a Netflix show a week, or a HBO, or a Stan, or a whatever it happens to be. If you're sitting in front of the television, binge watching, and I do it, I'm guilty of it, but you feel like you've got no time to do things, or you've got things that are piling up and weighing you down, then maybe you just got to give up Netflix. One show a week and not do it. Or maybe it's just say every Wednesday night, I'm not watching television. I'm going to do an extra 3 or 4 hours in the office, whatever it happens to be. But, thing is, could you wake up 30 minutes earlier, or could you sacrifice an episode of Netflix? Can you reduce your screen time by 20 minutes? The average stats show the average Australian is spending over 5 hours a day on screens. That's frightening. I don't know if you're guilty of it. I'm certainly trying not to be, but be that. Thing is, if you take back control of your time and you put your energy and your focus where it's needed to go, you will have a better chance of doing what you need to do. There are essentially three options for you to think about over the next 6 to 12 months. You can hold on and do nothing different and hope you get a better result. You can work harder and hope for a change, or you can take action and do it smartly. It's quite simple. There's only the three there. If you think doing nothing different is going to get you where you need to go, I beg to differ. So the wrap up, know what you want, know how much is enough, decide and pick a target or a goal, break that down into weekly and then daily steps if you want to go that granular. Review your services and product offering, make sure they're still relevant to the marketplace, that they're still wanted. Identify, remove, reduce sources of friction. If you can, cut them out. If you can't cut them out, delegate them. If only you can do them, try and be very organized in when and where you do them rather than letting them chew up too much time. Reach out to your network and to past clients. Plan a promotion a month till the end of the year. Sacrifice some of your downtime. Commit to acting and doing stuff. The key thing is, if there's only one thing out of today that resonates with you, don't just go, gee, that's really good, or I've taken a lot of notes. Pick something, one thing minimum, and apply it. Go and do it in your business. Even if it's nothing more than writing your list of the things I don't want to see in my business, my personal life, the next 6 months. Don't stick your head in the sand. Time's going to pass anyway, whether you're doing something or not, whether you're watching Netflix, whether you're scrolling on TikTok, or whether you're actively trying to make things better, time is going to pass regardless of what you do. If you'd like a hand, help is available. You can always book a chat with me. I will try and give you some good guidance on that. And hey, who knows? Maybe you'll think the guidance is good enough. You might even want to engage and work with me. Any questions?
Okay, I'll just stop the recording there first of all.
Okay, I'll stop the share.